Hello guys, this is Maxwell Covington, and today I'll be showing you the awesome Ostheer. Alright, so this is my favorite mod for Company of Heroes. It's Company of Heroes Eastern Front mod, and this mod adds two entirely new armies, and Ostheer is the Axis one. And I will be going over in detail the Ostheer faction. Alright, so the Ostheer work somewhat similar. I like to think it's a similar mix between the Americans and the Wehrmacht from the original Company of Heroes, but it's also a little bit on its own. Alright, so first of all, we're going to go over the buildings that they built. Alright, so the first building is the Infantry Command. I'm just going to say that because I can't pronounce that. This will build your basic units that you need for fighting. Your Lancers, which are your basic infantry for the Ostheer, and also some support weapons and light tanks and a scout. Alright, so the tier 2 building is the Schützen War Camp. And this is pretty much just your support structure. It will get you all your support units, and half track can be turned into a mortar and a medium tank. Then you have your Panzer Command, which brings your heavier armor and medium range support weapon. Lastly, you have your Luftwaffe headquarters, which allows you to get some global upgrades that will help you win the game, and is also required for airdropped medical supplies, and we'll get more into that later. Alright, so let's start with the HQ. Alright, so the Ostheer, when they first start out, the first units that they can build is Sturm Pioneers, and they'll start with one Sturm Pioneer. Sturm Pioneers are your basic infantry. They're pretty much like your pioneers or engineers, and they can cut wire, they build your buildings, and they can build basic defenses. Alright, they can be upgraded to a grenade launcher, which is highly effective against enemy like blobs. So I generally like to build up to 2 to 3 of these Sturm Pioneers. I usually have one or two of them have a grenade launcher, and then the rest will have mine detectors, so you guys can clear your mines. And that's essentially all that does. Defensive buildings, you can build the observation post, which is just an OP, gets you more resources, like down here. You have a field hospital. So you put a field hospital down, it'll give you a Lancer squad once it gets enough men, just like zombie grenadiers. A Panzer nest, which is their version of the machine gun. It's just this like itty bitty bunker with the MG34 built into it. Tiny little thing, but it's effective in cutting off areas in the map. After that, there will be your basic barbed wire, sandbags, and tank traps. The different thing that the Ostheer have is they have two different types of mine. They have the anti-tank mine, which is a little bar mine like this. I find highly effective, and people don't use it as much as possible. It's awesome how infantry won't trigger it. So you can put one like right here or right here and choke points on the maps. And if people aren't like one thing I like to do is like if people I haven't been using mines, people aren't going to invest in a minesweeper because they don't think it's worth it to get a minesweeper if you're not using mines. But you can use these anti-tank mines. So I mean, tank comes charging through here, and it usually always damages or destroys the engine. So that can immediately stop the tank charge. In late game fighting against the Soviets and Americans, they like to do big tank charges. So they'll have a bunch of tanks grouped up, and a bunch of tanks right next to each other hit that mine. That's going to damage all their engine, and it's just going to halt the entire assault. In addition, they can also build your doctrinal artillery pieces or anything that comes with your doctrines. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Next, you have your Skirmish Commander, who only one is available. So your Skirmish Commander is pretty much he provides like global benefits. You want to have him because as he gets veterancy, he'll help your guys out, and he'll help you guys out even before he gets veterancy. He just gives him small boosts. I don't know the exact boosts, but I always get him, and he seems to help me win, so I like him. In addition, once you upgrade your first global tech, you can get an MG34, which helps him give some suppression and do some damage himself. In addition, your Luftwaffe headquarters comes with a little, on this far right where there's empty boxes, there's like a plane upgrade. So the aerial upgrade, you get the first one. As soon as you build this building, you get the airdrop medical supplies, which is the only way that the Ostheer heal. By the way, so that's very important. It comes in like a little box like this, and it takes about a little bit over a minute to recharge, but if you upgrade these, it makes it go a little bit faster. So I think it normally takes like 2 minutes. and this comes in, and you guys can go over there, pick it up, and then they'll stay around for like a minute or so, or a few minutes or so, and then you guys can heal up. Get all the heals in, it disappears, and you get a new one. But they only cost 30, so it's not that big of a deal, and it'll heal your guys all really quickly. Alright, so another thing that he can do is, once you get these 2 upgrades on the far right, it allows him to call in a Recon Run, so it's much like the American Recon Run, except it's a BF-109. And he will reveal the map, any parts of the map that you cannot see. Goes in a straight line, very interesting. And the other one is Dive Bomb, which we'll get to in just a little bit after we let it recharge. Alright, the third thing from the HQ you can get, I don't believe you can get this until you do a few of the teching upgrades, maybe the second teching upgrade, is the FAMO, which is it's a repair half track. Alright, so it can do one of 2 things. It can do, number 1, it can set up like a mobile repair station. So it sets up, and these 2 guys come out and they'll go around and repair different vehicles. But or if you run into a medium tank from the enemy that's been destroyed, you can repair it and use it as a American Shermans, Soviet T-34s, and Commonwealth Cromwell tanks can resurrect light and medium vehicles owned by you or your ex-allies. Although when revived, they still belong to the original owner. So it can revive lighter vehicles on your side. It can also revive medium tanks on the enemy side that can be used against the enemy, but they can't revive heavy tanks. Also, beware when you move the station and set up the repair station again. It can take a little while for the guys to come out and start repairing again. But very useful unit, and especially late game when your tanks are getting damaged, you're gonna want to set him up somewhat behind the lines so you guys can come back and repair. All right, so here, let's go ahead and show you guys the dive bomb. We'll just land them right here. This is good versus emplacements or things that can't move. See if you call it in versus a tank, unless it has a destroyed engine. It's probably gonna get away, and as you can see, it's a little bit inaccurate. So if you want that general area, it can be highly effective versus the British, or if you have an MG nest that you need to take out. But it's 125 munitions and does a large amount of damage, so it can be worth it. All right, that is the HQ. On the left side, you have these improved infantry gear. This basically just gives your lancers, which, remember, your basic infantry. It'll give your lancers the ability to throw grenades, which is nice, and smoke grenades, which is especially nice because it can cover you. Throw a smoke grenade, and you can flank a machine gun or run straight into a machine gun if the machine gun's right there, and it helps you get around, makes different attacks much more viable. In addition, you also have the Schusen skirts, which allows all your tanks, your Panzer 3s, Panzer 4s, Panzer 2, and the Panther to all have side skirts, which helps them against infantry, anti-tank weapons, and getting shot from the side. So it gives them a little bit of boost of armor. I recommend not getting this until you're comfortably in mid or late game and you have a little bit of extra fuel you can spare. It'll definitely help versus infantry infantry weapons like sticky bombs or anti-tank rifles. So it's nice to have. Alright, in your middle you'll have your first upgrade, and your first upgrade will tier up different things you can use in your buildings. Alright, we'll go over the first buildings and then we'll go over the tiering. Alright, so the first building that I generally build is the Infantry Command. It comes with your Lancers, which is your basic infantry. They're going to be the backbone of your army. I usually end up with around 3 to 4 of these squads. They're very versatile, and there's a lot they can do. They can build light barbed wire as well and set spring mines, so it's pretty cool. People sometimes forget. It's nice to wire off heavy cover if you can. In addition, once you've upgraded to all the phases, you have these weapons unlocked. I think initially they can get the Panzerjger, and then after the first upgrade, light machine gun, and the last upgrade they can get the MKB-42. I just call it the MP-44, but I guess it's a little bit different. Earlier version. So the Panzerjger, they can be upgraded with up to 2 of these. I usually only get 1. Makes your squad a little bit better versus at scaring off light vehicles, and can damage some tanks as well. The MG26 light machine gun makes the squad a lot more heavier firepower, especially at range, and at the cost it makes the squad a little bit slower, and it has to be stopped to be moving. I mean, stopped to be shooting. I believe. Also, you have the MKB-42, which gives your each. You can get this upgrade twice. Gives 2 guys MP-44 MK-42s, so you can have up to 4 of your guys. Makes them highly effective moving in close range. You can shred some infantry. It's personally one of my favorite upgrades to get on them. All right, next you have the Koopa Wagon, which is also available from the start. The Koopa Wagon has not 1 but 2 machine guns. It's an MG-42 in the passenger, and MG-34 mounted on the back seat, and it's highly effective. Does a lot of damage. It's very good to be used in the early game. Just be watch the health. It's much like a bike or a Schwimmwagen. It's got lower health. I think it has more health than a bike, but lower health than a Schwimmwagen. That's from my experience. Very effective versus fighting snipers. They can also fight machine guns that are set up very quickly. Very useful early game, and they can be used late game to search for partisans, which are Soviet camouflage like stormtroopers that can go behind lines, and they can find them very easily. Alright, next you'll have, in the first building, you have the PAC 9738, which is a medium anti-tank gun. I believe it's a 50mm, but I could be incorrect. So basically the PAC comes, he's your AT gun. You get him with the first upgrade, and it pretty much does all the damage that you need for tanks. Has a decent range, nothing special, but he's good against light medium tanks. Struggles a little bit penetrating heavier armor, but he's backbone AT. So if you need AT, get 1 or 2 of those. Next, you have your Panzer II Lux, which is a vehicle that's extremely effective versus enemy infantry. It can also further be upgraded to have Infantry Countermeasures, which gives him this burst ability. And basically, whenever he fires this little burst like this, it'll leave incendiary rounds, so it'll leave like flames right there. It's especially effective versus weapons team. So there's an AT gun set up right there. You can shoot a burst at him, and it goes to flames, or you shoot a burst at a guy in a building, and it's gonna set that building on fire. But it's a nice thing to have. But once again, you don't usually want to get this until later in the game, unless you're dominating with a Panzer II. Panzer II will be good against all infantry and light vehicles like armored car, but or a half track. But Greyhound could probably take this guy out, especially his upgraded armor. So just be careful with him around actual tanks. Alright, so we'll go to our second building. The first unit on here is the MG-34 team. He only costs 230, so he's a bit cheaper than the MG-42 for the Wehrmacht. He does shoot a little bit slower, so it takes a little bit more time to pin units, but it's basically use your machine gun for your for the Ostheer. Mediumly, I said mid effective. He pins down infantry pretty well, and he does medium damage. Not too bad though, so it's a nice addition to every army to be able to lock down areas of the map or stop big infantry assaults. The next unit is the Sniper, which actually comes with a scoped MK-42, which is pretty cool and unique from other snipers. Be aware that snipers do not camouflage automatically in the open in the Eastern Front mod. If you put them in cover, they'll automatically camouflage, as you can see right here. They'll camouflage in just a second. Yep. And after you get them to Vet 1, then you can camouflage them in any area, which is awesome. It's very effective, and snipers sometimes will miss a lot, but once they get some vet, they'll stop missing as much. The next unit is the half track, which is a very versatile unit. You can put your infantry in here with the Panzerjger and use it as a mobile tank hunting team, which is pretty awesome. A lot of people don't do it. Also, it can reinforce your infantry on the front lines, and it comes with the MG-40 or MG-34 and mounted on the front, which is pretty awesome in my opinion, because it seems like an upgrade from the Wehrmacht half track. In addition, it can be upgraded with these anti-air support. It's like a triple MG-151 autocannon, which makes it super great at killing infantry. It's if you can get this early game, it could be a game changer. I'll show you some of them that I use. I fought at easy AI, so I can show you all the units and not have to worry about fighting anything. But as you can see, that rapid fire just obliterates any infantry. Any infantry it finds in the open, it'll just destroy them right away. Just gotta watch its health, because it is a half track. It's a light vehicle. It'll stand up to any infantry pretty well, especially early game. But as they get anti-tank weapons you gotta watch out, and watch out for actual tanks. Right, the last vehicle is the Panzer III, which is like it's like a light medium tank. So it classifies as a medium tank, but I consider it a light tank, especially when it first comes out. Its armor isn't the best, and its gun is a short barrel 50mm gun, which isn't the best for killing tanks. It will destroy. It's better than a what's it called? A Greyhound. It can destroy a Greyhound. It can destroy the BT-7 from the Russian side pretty easily. So it's got a little bit more armor than lighter tanks, and I'd say it's maybe on par with a Stuart, or maybe a little bit better. And it can be upgraded with the MG34 gunner, which makes it good at suppressing infantry, especially if you had 2 of them with it. It can start to pin them down. And you get the Flaming Panzer, which makes it good against infantry and cover and stuff. And as you can see, I think I have one over here. Here's the flames. I personally don't like to get this upgrade because it does take him a while to fire. It can kill a lot of infantry really quickly if they're bunched up. But I personally prefer to keep the main gun because it can take out infantry fairly well, and I've seen it take out 1 to like 4 different units per shot. So he's like a little sniper. Very effective unit, and it's not very expensive. It only costs 55 fuel, so it's a nice little tank to have. In addition, it can be upgraded to have a long barrel 50mm, which doesn't improve its armor, but it definitely improves its penetration versus actual tanks. So with this one, it can stand up to Shermans and T-34s better. I wouldn't say that it's on par. I would say its gun is much better, but its armor is still not on par. So it makes it roughly an equal, but I would still be cautious using it by itself versus other tanks. Next, we have the last building, which is where the Ostheer get their heavier armor and the support weapons. So the 75mm League is, let's see, as you can see, it's a medium to long range artillery piece. It's very effective versus infantry. They used to have it so it hopefully it doesn't hit that hedge. They used to have it so it could fire automatically, but that was super OP because it does a lot of damage. So it does a high amount of damage and it fires pretty quick. So having this, especially in this, as you can see, he's not even mid-map and he can already fire into the enemy HQ pretty well. So having this can be a game changer if you're having big blobs of infantry and you can find out where they're hiding. Oh, one thing I forgot to skip. I skipped the half track. The mortar. There's a mortar half track, and the mortars are extremely effective in the Eastern Front mod. So getting that is very well. It works great. I'd like to get one of these, and then one of those. Have one of each, ideally. And it's just awesome having them both. All right. So the next unit is the Stug 3. A little bit different from the Stug 4 from the Vermont. Works very similarly. It's very good against tanks. It's assault gun, so it's somewhat effective versus infantry, but it can be upgraded to have an MG34 gunner as well, and a spotting scope, which increases the gun range and the sight. It says the headset tank, but of the Stug. In addition, it can also camouflage, so it's cool to lock it down. So say like a choke point here, you could lock it down, have it hold fire until you see a tank, but then it gives it a little bonus and for that first shot. Alright, so the second vehicle is the Panzer IV, which can also ambush as well, which is pretty awesome. In addition, let's see, you can get the advanced upgrade with advanced vehicle countermeasures, which gives the Panzer IV the armor-piercing shells, which makes it penetrate pretty much any armor effectively, which is pretty awesome. For only 40 munitions, makes it like penetrate IS-2s and Pershings. Pretty amazing, but it's your basic medium tank. It'll go par to par with T-34s and Shermans pretty easily, and it will struggle versus heavier armor like IS-2s unless it's using those special shells. Finally, you have the Panther, which can also be upgraded with the MG34. He's your heavy tank for the Ostheer, and he can go toe-to-toe with pretty much any tank in the game. He's not, I mean, he's a little bit weaker in health than the IS-2, but he's much more maneuverable. So using him against that, you just have to use your speed to your advantage and be able to flank them. But he's pretty much the top tank that the the Ostheer can get without calling something in. Alright. And they also have ambush tactics. I'm not actually sure how to get ambush tactics, so we're just going to go ahead and upgrade all these so I can show you guys the changes. And alright, so let's go over your buildings. So when you first start, you can get your Stern Pioneers out. You'll build your first building. And these 2 units you can get automatically after you build the building, but you have to upgrade to your first phase to be able to get the anti-tank gun, and yeah, that's an anti-tank gun from there, so you have some anti-tank support. After the second upgrade, you can get the Panzer II, and this, the Panzer II in this building, so that's effective to use against infantry, so you can try to rush for that. The second building, the machine gun and the sniper is what you get first. First upgrade, you get the half track, and the second upgrade, you get the Panzer III. The final building, you can start out getting the 75mm League. After the second upgrade, you can get the Stug and the Panzer IV. Oh, actually, after the first upgrade, you can get the Stug, and the second upgrade, you can get the Panzer IV, and the final upgrade you get before you can get the Panther, which is pretty expensive to get. As you can see, it's 110 fuel. Pretty expensive. But the other sections, they cost 140 fuel, so it's nicer. As you can see, all these tanks now have some side skirts, so they're quite a bit more effective now. Panzer III's got it, and I don't see them on the Panzer II, but oh well. Panzer II's just gonna have to live without it. And we'll go over, show you, as you can see, smoke. They can cover a large area, and there you go. All right. In addition to over here, the Luftwaffe headquarters, we haven't talked much about that. It has the 3 abilities. Has the airdrop thing on the far right, which you have to, there's something cool that comes with it. These guys that I'll talk about in just a second, but you have to build the Luftwaffe headquarters to be able to call in your medical airdrop supplies. So you definitely want that. So by either later on in the early game or in mid game, you're gonna want this. Start healing up your infantry. Alright, so after that, you can upgrade that to first and the second. The first one, you upgrade, reduces the charge on this that it takes to call in, and it gives your Skirmish Commander the ability to call in the Recon Run, which is awesome for reconnaissance. And the second one will give him the ability to dive bomb. But the first one also gives you the ability to call in Brandenburgers, which these are like high-tech guerrilla warfare type guys. They're pretty awesome. They can call them in, I believe, almost anywhere on the map, except for the HQ sectors, of course, which you wouldn't want to do that. So what they can do is they can camouflage and hold fire, and they can go back and lay these anti-infantry mines, which are pretty effective, like killing infantry that are wandering around. And they can also place these communication jammers. So if you can get right next to the enemy HQ and put one like right outside, say you put one right here where no one's ever going to find it, it might be hitting 2 buildings, then that'll disrupt the build time for vehicles and units. I think it makes it probably double the time, which is awesome. And people might not even notice what's going on, which is even cooler. And that's what they can do while they're camouflaged. They can also fire the Panzerfaust, which is good for taking out tanks, but I wouldn't recommend just firing one at a random tank if you don't think you can take it out. In addition, they can also plant high explosive charges anywhere on the map, and that's pretty awesome because I like to put them in heavy cover because they camouflage in heavy cover, I think. I'm not sure if they camouflage out in the open. We're going to find out right now. Oh yeah, they do. So you can put them like a landmine. If enemy infantry run across them, they will see them, but as you can see, they'll do a lot of damage. Took about half health of my building, so that does a lot. So this is like pretty much annexation. So what you can do is instantly capture a neutral territory, or you can switch the control of enemy points to neutral. So if this is the enemy territory, you go up and use this, and it would instantly, as soon as they do it, switch it to neutral. I'm not sure if this works on victory points, but if it does, it could be very, very interesting to do. And it's really nice to do this, and so you have these guys behind lines, you can go around here and instantly cut them off from their resources. So these guys are very versatile, and they can They can be game-changing little bastards, and they can help you sneak around behind lines. Gives you something else to do to mess with the enemy, so it's pretty cool to use them. And that's pretty much the overview of the Ostheer. Now we're going to move into the different commanders. Before we go there, I'm going to talk about my basic build order. Basically, what I usually like to do is start with one Stern Pioneer, I'll build a second one, and then I'll get my first Lancer squad out, and then a Koopa Wagon, then 2 more Lancers, and then from there you kind of just got to go with the flow, what you want to do. You can go for a fast half-track, or a fast Panzer 3, or you can try to rush out a Panzer 2, which I don't like to do because then I'm making counter with armored car that has an AT rifle, or the BT-7, which can take that Luke's out. I like to use it as on team games. I like to get it because you can chase down enemy that are going behind lines and kill partisans pretty easily without worrying about it getting taken out. But that's an overview of the Ostheer. Let's get to the first commanders. Alright, so the commanders that they have, there's 3 right here, and there's a reward one that covers the Army Elite that we'll talk about later. So the Humba Army troops, this is a Hungarian army group. Basically what this is good, it gives you armor support and Luftwaffe support. So you can call in Err Denial barrages, which have 81mm mortars. It's pretty much just like the let's see, it's pretty much just like here. There we go. We got them all now. So Err Denial is just like the Wehrmacht's one. You can just call it in. Oh, actually, you can call it in anywhere. So it is better than. So you can call in this big enemy assault coming through here. It's only 135, which is actually a decent amount. It has to be on neutral or friendly territory. Looks like it's a mortar barrage. I'm not sure if artillery follows. Oh no, just mortars. It's highly effective versus infantry, and also if you manage to decap a sector, and you see like a whole bunch of weapons teams, you can just call it in real quick, and it comes in pretty quick. There's no smoke, so that's one nice thing. All right, so the next one is the Hungarian crew training. Makes your packs be able to camouflage, so it makes you even more similar to the Wehrmacht, and it gives you an ambush bonus, just like the Wehrmacht, which is nice. Makes them slower, obviously, but and you can still hear them, but gives them a nice boost. Also, I forgot to talk about, they have heat rounds, which offer better penetrations versus tanks, so it makes it better to penetrate heavier tanks. Next, you have the Ju-88 Bombardment, which calls in 2 Ju-88s, take out this poor little farmhouse. They come and bomb the hell out of. They drop a lot of bombs. Where are they coming from? Here they come. Oh. I think it believes it drops 4 bombs, or yeah, 4 bombs, and they do quite a bit of damage. As you can see, it almost took out this entire building, so the poor farmer's gonna have to repair that. Not good. And it only takes 90 seconds to recharge, but it's 200, so use it versus emplacements and things that can't move. Next, you have the Hamveds, which are these infantry teams that are very strong. They can be upgraded to have the Danuvia 43 submachine gun, which makes them extremely effective at close range, and it's 6 men, so if they get that, it makes them destroy it at close range. In addition, they can be upgraded with the 44M Panzerjger, which is like Panzerjger for the Hungarians, but apparently it has it shoots faster, but has trouble penetrating heavier armor. And they're just like Lancers. They can put OPs up, set barbed wire, and have spring mines. Alright, in addition, there's a mark target ability, which you can use this. Like, say there's a tank that's very low health, and he's like getting away. You can mark him in the fog of war, and you'll be able to see him when he's still in the fog of war for a little bit. And they take increased damage, so if you can rush a Panther up there or other tank and take him out, then it's pretty nice. You can take him out, but it costs 35, so it's nothing special. But if the tank's getting away, it's nice to use it on there. Next, you have the Zrini 2 assault tank, which is pretty much an assault gun, but it's pretty much like the Stug. Be upgraded. As you can see, it just fires like artillery shells, just like the Stug. It sounds like kind of sounds like an 88, a little bit different than the 88. It has the Hungarian markings on it, You can also fire heat rounds, which makes it actually effective versus tanks, which is cool. Cool little upgrade. And it doesn't fire that all too slow, so it's a pretty nice vehicle to have. And it's like pretty much has medium armor, but it's very versatile, effective versus infantry. But I would always support it with anti-tank or at least another tank. All right, so now let's move on to the next commander. Alrighty guys, so next we have the Army Elite Troops Commander, which is the Central Commander. It adds combined arms and advanced training. The first one, it only costs 1, so it makes sure your infantry vet up quicker. The second one on the right side is fired up. Makes your infantry get fired up, pretty much like the American airborne squads. They can run past machine guns, but then they're exhausted for a little while after. Pretty awesome ability for flanking and getting past MG nests. Third one is a Panzerjger, which is a fucking badass. It pretty much destroys all blobs. I'll show you here. Just a second. And battle propaganda makes the infantry get suppressed by your tanks. Makes them scared of your tanks, which is pretty awesome. Next, we have Panzer Fusiliers, which can be upgraded with multiple weapons. I'll show you that as well. Then we have the pincer movement, which right now is not working, and it actually crashes your game. But this commander is definitely worth it just for the Panzerjger. I'll show you one firing by itself, how effective it can be versus all these blobbed up troops. Here we go. I've already unlocked everything, so it's not giving me any more experience, but it like destroys troops super freaking awesome, super effectively. And not only that, but they leave incendiary burning after they fire. So that pretty much wiped out all these infantry. It's extremely effective versus infantry and somewhat effective versus tanks. I would recommend using it to stop blobs, because it like instantly suppresses blobs and makes them pretty much just murders them. It's awesome. And people that like the blob, this is like their worst nightmare, because it'll stop the blob and kill like half a blob right there. So you see someone that's blobbing, great commander to pick. Alright, next we have the Panzer Fusiliers, which come unupgraded, but they can be upgraded with 2 grenade launchers, 2 Panzerjgers, or a Panzerjger and a grenade launcher. And they make some very high effective versus blobs as well. So it's pretty awesome. They initially just have they come equipped with actually I'm not sure. I think they have MP40s and MP44, so they're pretty effective close range unit. Only 5 of them, but they'll shred infantry close range, and they can be upgraded with a variety as well. Pretty awesome. You can see the fired up ability. Makes them haul ass for a little bit. My cat switches every time I click it. And then it makes them exhausted for a little bit. But it looks like the exhausted is broken because it just made them exhausted for literally like a second. Which is awesome in my opinion. But that's the Army Elite Troops. Other than that one broken pincer movement that crashes games, I'd say this is pretty awesome. Commander, it's a choice. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright guys, so the next commander is the Army Fortress Troops Commander. It has improved defenses and improved endurance. So the first one is ability that costs only 40, or no, it costs 60. Basically, your infantry breaks suppression, gain a speed bonus, and improve combat abilities in friendly territory. In enemy territory, they gain resistance to suppression and capture points faster. Move my tank back here real quick. I'm going to show him off later, as long as he doesn't get murdered. Alright, so the next ability is the Incendiary Bombardment, which costs 125, but brings in quite a bit of rockets on enemy soldiers. Let's use it right here. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So it's basically just a large mortar bombardment, but it's incendiary, so it's good for taking out emplacements and such. So good for that. Very effective versus blobs as well if they don't get out of the way. The last one is a Panzerjger Tiger, which costs 6 points. It's the elephant, as I like to call it, is the name of it. It has extremely long range. You can fire almost to the edge of the screen. Extremely thick armor. It bounces pretty much every shot to the front and around. I think the rear armor might be weaker, but its armor is still pretty thick. Side shots it bounces most AT guns as well. Only shots it might not bounce as effectively as IS-2 and Pershings, but even then you can see the reliably bouncing those shots off left and right. It will take damage, as you can see, but it can take a fair beating. And he's took out 2. All right. So he's not doing too bad. Oh, lost my guys there though. One thing to watch out for when you're using this guy is he's extremely expensive. It costs 800 to call him in, but even him being extremely armored, he is still vulnerable to flanks. As you can see, he's extremely slow and bulky. So using him as a mobile AT gun is his best role, in my opinion. He obviously isn't very effective versus infantry, but he can take out most armor in 2 to 3 hits, which is pretty amazing. All right, so the left side there's priority defense. So all German troops will fight more ferocity to defend a certain sector. You can use this to make my snipers and everybody. Works on infantry only. Look at this little icon above them, and they'll basically they become more like little badasses more than they already are, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. Next is ambush tactics. So your infantry can cloak and cover, and they get a first shot bonus, which makes them pretty OP. Let's see. Get these guys in cover. I know it works on Lancers. I'm not sure if it works on Stern Pioneers. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it doesn't work on your Stern Pioneers, but it will work on your Lancers, and your Lancers become super awesome. They can, if they're standing in heavy cover like these guys would be, and they cloak, and they can sit there and ambush people. You can tell them to hold fire if you want, and they get a super huge bonus. So if they like fire, oh, there they are. They get that first bonus. So the first shot they fire will be a lot more damage. It's extremely effective if you're using Panzerjgers to ambush like a tank come by. It'll like almost insta-kill a tank if you kill it. If you have 2 of them, it's pretty amazing. And I love using that, but sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Next, you have the 105mm light howitzer, which is built by your pioneers. I mean your Stern Pioneers. Let's go ahead and test them out. As you can see, they're pretty awesome. Let's see how the damage. Oh yeah. Got one already getting vet 2, getting 8 kills. 10 kills now. Looks like they fired 3 to 4 shells. I think it's 4. But extremely effective and they can fire pretty far across the map. I think they can reach about. So if you put them in, you have to put them about around here, and they'd be able to reach the base. So pretty effective heavy howitzers, and they cost around 400 in manpower and 70 fuel to build. So they're not cheap, but extremely effective, especially in team games where you can pound the enemy base and not have to worry about much. All right, now we're gonna show you the reward commander as well. Alrighty guys, so the final commander is the Assault Division Troops commander. The way you get this commander is you have to go to your rewards units, and it'll be under reward units as Assault Division Commander for the Ostheer. Alright, so it has Kampfgruppen support and logistics support. Logistics support, all infantry units produce 10% faster, so it's awesome, so you can crank out your infantry just a little bit faster than the enemy. Then they have the Perviten, which gives your infantry zeal, makes them shoot faster for a little bit, and it also gives them health bonuses to nearby infantry. Next you have the Tiger Ace, which is like pretty much just like a jacked up Tiger, probably like a Vet 3 Tiger, but you can't even get more Vet. It's pretty awesome and pretty maneuverable, so always a nice addition, and you can call him the extra one if he dies. Next you have the Goliath Heavy Mine, which is like a heavy anti-tank mine, and you can use it to you can set it off whenever, and it's camouflaged to everything except like Jeeps that can detect it. Infantry can run right over it, won't explode, and they won't see it. It's just pretty awesome. Next you have the Apec Wagon, which is one of my personal favorite. It has an anti-tank cannon, 75mm anti-tank, and it can ambush. Finally, you have the ME-109 Strafing Run, which calls in an ME-109 to do some strafing and F's up infantry, but it doesn't mess up tanks very bad. Let's do the ME-109 Strafing Run on these guys over here. As you can see, it shreds infantry pretty effectively, and it lasts for minutes, or 50 seconds actually. And so it'll just patrol this entire area, and it'll keep shooting as long as there's infantry there. But you need to have open sights, I believe. So as soon as he sees infantry, it'll fire on them. Let's go ahead and show you guys this guy. Rapid fire ability he also has. Oof. As you can see, his armor is not nearly as effective as the Elephant's armor, so he can get taken out by some AT guns. But overall, he is a heavy tank and he stands up pretty well to all sorts of tanks and whatnot. Just gotta keep him supported as well. Next, let's go over the Pervitin. As you can see, it gives all the infantry a buff, and they'll start to heal each other if their guys are down. But I'm not sure. I don't think it will heal your allies. We'll see. Find out in just a second. Nope, only heals your guys on your own side, unfortunately. Kind of stinks, but oh well. Alright, next, let's go look at this here Goliath mine real quick. Alright, so how the Goliath mine, it costs 100 to build, but it's just like a heavy mine. And it works as a demolition charge, but you have to select it. You select it, you can detonate it. And it does a vast amount of damage. If not, it can just get run over by vehicles. But it does make the same sound as a Goliath so that people can tell if it's there. Next we have the Apec Wagon, which is one of my favorites. It has extremely long range, almost to the end of the screen, kind of like the Elephant. I think it's a little bit shorter than the Elephant. But it can also camouflage. As you can see, you can camouflage it, but you need to tell it to hold fire to wait for a tank, otherwise it'll fire on infantry. In addition, it also has an MG42 in the back to help defend against infantry. So as you can see, the Ostheer is a very diverse and interesting faction to play. There's plenty of different build strategies you can try. Try to go support first, try to go infantry first like most people. Koopa Wegen spams. I've done all sorts of things. It's a crazy faction and you can do lots with it. It's probably one of my favorite factions now that it's been added, and I love playing them. And there's always a diverse experience from playing them, and this is probably this Assault Division or the Army Elite one, which this one replaces, are probably my two favorites because they just have so much cool stuff. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see a overview of the other factions, just let me know in the comments below, and if you have any tips or things you like, just let me know below as well. And please leave a like if you enjoyed it, and have a great day, and goodbye.